and especially for my ankle flexibility. My flexibility in my ankles is really important no matter what stroke you're doing, especially in freestyle. I'm getting lots of power from my ankles. Flexibility is really helpful in the freestyle kick, just like it is in all kicks.
Benko has the world record, a short course version of this race.
This is Lindsay's 400 stroke, 2-beat kick freestyle with alternate breathing.
Here we are with a 2-beat kick, which is what I use most when I practice, and in my 400. It's the same kind of technique that was with the 6-beat kick, and what I want to think about on this is keeping my kick very narrow. I don't want to have a wide kick. I also try to think about getting my heels on top of the water with every kick. I'm going to get a more powerful kick. Still using my ankle flexibility quite a lot, but I still have to position my body so it's, again, on top of the water. I don't want to be sinking too far down, and when you're not kicking as hard, sometimes you have a tendency to do that.
Lindsay uses a 2-beat kick for the 400. She has a higher tempo. Her arms are at a higher stroke rate. 2 kicks per cycle.
When I use the 2-beat kick, my arm tempo is a little bit faster than when I use a 6-beat kick because I'm relying a lot more on my arms. So you want to make sure that you don't forget to do all the proper technique even though your arm's moving faster. Fingertips going all the way down, pushing all the way through. When I take my stroke, I'm still keeping my hands all the way, finishing my catch all the way back past my hips. When I take my breath, I'm making sure that I am still flat on top of the water. And when I do a 2-beat kick, I breathe to both sides, not just to my right side. I bilateral breathe, and so I want to make sure that I'm still rotating my hips both from side to side. Again, keeping my shoulder as close to my ear as possible. Finishing my stroke, let's see, my hands are all the way back here by my hips, and I'm looking down towards the bottom of the pool. See a nice line all the way through.
When Lindsay uses a 2-beat kick, she is very aware of her body balance.
The most important thing in swimming is your streamline. It is the fastest point that you'll ever be in your entire race when you push off the wall, when you dive in on your start. Now, it's very important to streamline not only that you have one hand on top of the other, but you're squeezing your ears. You want to make sure that it's a nice straight line no matter what position that you're in.
We want to get the shaft of her arrow or her silhouette as tight as possible. So she keeps her line from her fingertips through her toes, and then she gets as tight as she can, particularly here through her lats, and rounds her back slightly. The diameter as small as possible. Not only are her hands covering each other, but her forearms are as well. As tight an arrow as possible.
Now we're going to focus on the start. For me, it's not one of my specialties and not one of my strong points, but I'm still working on it and trying to make it better each time I get in the water. The first thing you want to do is when you're behind the blocks, and in my case, that's kind of when I decide that I need to settle down and start thinking about my race. And then I prepare myself to swim the best I possibly can at that given time. So when I get up on the blocks, I take the deep breath, I'm nice and focused on my race. I position my feet to where they want to be. When you come down and grab the blocks, you want to make sure that your arms are straight, they're not bent, and you want to make sure that your entire hand is over the block. Your thumb is not grabbing the block, your thumb is actually going to help you push off the blocks. When you're standing on the block, you need to focus on the one point of entry. You know, whether that is a little closer or a little far away, that's where your hands need to enter the water. If you have a tendency like me to lift your head, if you find that point of entry, you won't overextend your head and you won't lift your head too high out of the water because you'll always be looking at that point of entry.
As I get ready to go in, I've already found my spot that I'm going to enter the water in. I take a quick peek, my head goes right back in the streamline, and my whole body goes in the same hole.
You will never be faster in a race than you are when you push off the wall or you push off the block. So you want to make sure that one hand is on top of the other and you're going in a nice streamlined position. In order to get yourself to come up to the top, you want to make sure that you're not lifting your head up out of your body position, that you're lifting the back of your neck, and that'll help you get to the surface.
As I start my kick to the surface, I don't lift my head. My head is still in line with my body. I don't lift my head at all throughout my entire kick underwater. Again, I find my point of entry, my feet drop down. I start my kick a little too soon on this one, but look at how I get the flipper effect with my feet and my ankle flexibility. This is going to get me to the top of the water a lot sooner and be able to start my stroke a lot quicker. As I break out of the water, you notice that my head isn't coming up first, but my arm. My head is still in line. The most powerful stroke of your race is right when you come out of the start.
Benko turning at the 250 in front.
Next, we're going to work on turns, which is also another extremely important part of your race. If you're a sprinter, you only get one turn, you better make it good. If you're a distance swimmer and you get 12 turns, you better make them good. The first thing that I like to think about when I'm doing a turn is I'm 6'1", and so I need to try to get around as fast as I can compared to the next person who is not so tall as me. So what I try to do is make sure that I'm not looking up at the wall. I want to make sure that I'm finding a spot on the bottom of the pool that I can look at that can help me rotate on my turns. If I'm looking up and I'm coming out of body position, it's only going to make me slower. I don't want to breathe into the turns because then that throws off my body position and I'm not diving my head down and tucking my chin into my chest, which is going to make me rotate and going to make my hips come over faster. My last stroke into the wall is a very strong stroke because this is a stroke that's going to propel me over. I want to make sure that my heels are as close to my bottom as they can be because the more closed I am, the faster the turn is going to be. When I push off the wall, I'm again streamlined in a nice tight position and I'm pushing up on my back and then I rotate to my stomach. This way I'm not turning on the wall because that just takes up more time. When you push off, you're pushing off on your back and then rotating to your side. You want to take your first stroke with the hand of the hip that is closest to the bottom of the pool. That way I can rotate from side to side quicker and I'm not getting stuck underneath the water. When you push off the wall, again, it's the fastest point that you'll ever be in your race. You want to make sure that you're doing everything you possibly can to get the most out of that point. As you leave the wall, you're pushing off on your back and rotating to your stomach. You don't need to do this very fast. You don't want to rush this. You're in a race, so it's going to come naturally that you're going to do it quickly, but don't rush it. You don't need to rotate to your stomach right away, because as soon as you take that arm stroke, you're going to rotate right to your other side.